Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim is building you a better cartoon show.
We call it Toonami.
And tonight,
he's back.
We've got an exclusive promo for James Gunn's Superman.
You think this is going well?
I think I'm doing a good job.
Hell yeah.
Eyes up here.
Superman swoops into theaters on July 11th.
Toonami, Saturday starting at midnight. With Superman returning to theaters,
we figured it was the perfect time to bring back Lois, Jimmy, and the Man of Steel.
Superman? Ooh, this just got good.
Is everyone okay? No thanks to you!
Call Alpha, Krypton!
get hyped for the new movie with our My Adventures with Superman Season 2 Marathon next Saturday from midnight to 5 a.m.
This is what I'm talking about, people.
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello, dear listener. I'd say dear viewer, but we're not. But, you're probably just listening to this. So, well, we don't have a video podcast anyway. So, anyway, that was a really weird intro. But so let me try to awkwardly fix things up. This is Toonami Therapy. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
All right, we're recording June 26th of 2025, and we're here to talk about some anime we've been watching, some of which is on Toonami. So, news. They decided to say, yes, Kaguya-sama is getting a TV special. Apparently not a new season, just a TV special. What does that mean? I don't know. But apparently not a new season, but they announced something, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That has nothing to do with Toonami, but since we watched that series, I figured I should mention it.
Yeah.
All right. So, we'll just skip right into it. We got Lazarus episode 12, the first of the Toonami series. So, well, yes, Axel survived. We kind of assumed he would, but we weren't sure if it was clear that he would at that time. But we get confirmation he's alive. So let's see. Yeah, so he gets there. Elena ends up. Remember that hacker popcorn wizard who was in the episode 8 episodes ago and then never showed up again? Yeah. Well, I guess she's relevant again now because she's there and it says, yeah, I totally know Skinner and I helped him hide because, well, I'm sure he had a good reason for what he was doing. Basically, everyone is kind of separated at this point. We get this thing with now. Have we seen this person who's apparently present? Have we seen her before in the series? I can't remember because she's saying, yes, I took the initial Hobna trial. So I guess if it kills everyone, I'm going to be one of the first ones. I'm thinking, have we seen this character before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember actually.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Okay. Anyway, they all get that they find out apparently that They apparently get told that, I remember, because Popcorn Wizard says, yeah, so remember though that homeless community people that we saw in episode 3 or whatever? Yeah, he's there, apparently. So, yeah, there's all that stuff. There's some stuff about a Hundun program that I can't actually remember, but I know that was involved somehow. So maybe you can explain that to me. And then it just announces, so after all this stuff, we get told there's 1 day and 1 episode left.
Yeah, 1 episode left to try to wrap up all this stuff. So is it 1 day left until the first people die or until everyone dies?
Until the first people die.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, keep talking. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So I guess they're gonna try to I mean, there's no way they make a second season of this, you know. I would hope. Uh yeah, it just seems like there's way too much to wrap up in one episode, and to be honest, like I haven't been impressed with the characters they've given us. Like none of them really have made me care about them. I guess Elena's the closest I've come to liking one of the main characters. And yeah, this episode wasn't too great, but at least we're getting closer to the end here. So yeah.
Yeah, we got the just one episode left. I don't know what they would do for second season. It depends on how they end this, because as I've seen a bunch of like people watching the series comment on, even if they get the cure, they cannot distribute it to everyone in time. Like now I know once again that this is just the starting point, because it like kills you, supposedly kills you 3 years after you take it. So, and obviously, since not everyone took it right away, it would be a more gradual thing of everyone dying. But I guess, I don't know. I guess we'll see what it ends up with. I can't really judge too much on, in terms of the plot of the series. It's hard for me to judge until we get to the end, because that can like make or break a lot of things. The one thing I will say is that I don't think is that even if the final episode, gives some great reveals, and I look back and say, oh, all that stuff I thought was dumb or didn't make sense or was a waste of time. No, that all actually mattered and worked. That is possible. I don't think though it's going to fix the problem, which is that, as you kind of alluded to, I don't really care that much about the characters of the series. I mean, I kind of have a little affinity for Axel and Elena, and the others not so much. Like the black guy. I'm sorry, I can't even remember his name. I can only call him the black guy. Like, I can't think of a single personality trait about him that I remember, other than the part where he said, "Yeah, I had a racist professor, so I punched him." That's like the only thing I can remember about him. That one bit where he said that, because it seems such a weird thing to like just bring in as a character trait. So I'm like, so he's like just kind of there. And the other two, well, let's see. The only ones I can remember the names of are Axel and Elena, which might be because those are the ones that I remember Chris. I remember her. And then there's the other guy whose name I can't remember. I'm so bad. All we got about him was, well, here's some backstory from the previous episode. The episode before this, about how, he had like these family issues, and that's kind of it. So that's like the big issue.
Leland.
I just don't. Yeah.
Leland.
Yeah. That's like the problem. I just have not really cared at all about the characters, and I don't think a final episode can fix that. It might fix my problems with the plot. I want to be fair to it. That is possible. So I just don't think it'll fix the issue that I just don't really care much about the characters at all. So
yeah, it's one of those things, like the world will be saved, but at what cost? So I wish that they had better developed the characters. They tried in a way, at least. I'll give them that, but it wasn't a very good job, and ultimately I'm going to feel rather ambivalent once they figured out a way to save everyone, or maybe they don't save everyone and everyone just dies, and then we have a finale of Skinner just laughing his head off as everyone dies, and that'll be the final scene of the series. I mean, maybe that's how it ends. If it does, I'll give some kudos to the show. Be like, yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
I mean, there have been some anime where that just end with everyone, and I mean like everyone dying. Although I've also those usually aren't considered very good endings. So, I don't know. I guess we'll.
Yeah, I hear that a certain series I like has a really bad ending to it. So,
what series?
starts
Oh,
starts with an O.
Oh, that. I mean, do you want? I mean, I can just say it. But it's not a spoiler to say it has a controversial ending.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, Oshinoko is what you're referring to. Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard some pretty negative things about its ending. Well, we'll see maybe if we end when season 3 comes along, which unfortunately actually I have heard from some people that the season 3 is kind of where the story starts going downhill, but this is just like what I've heard from some people, including one person that I saw this video where they kind of talked about how they went from really loving the series to not really liking it as it went on, but we'll see, I guess. So in any event, I guess we'll just see what the ending is like, and yeah, then we'll see if we get a second season or not. Probably not. Apparently this one really took a while to put together. I saw this interview with the writer, not the writer, Shinichiro Watanabe. I don't think he wrote most of the series. I think he was just a director, and he was talking about how it was. Oh, I don't know exactly where it was, but it was in Japanese. I read it with a translate thing, and he was kind of talking. Someone was like, "So, like, did COVID did that influence?" He said, "Oh no, we had like the plot and everything planned out before that. It didn't affect anything there." So I was thinking, wow, you wrote it all the way back then. That's some slow progress. Although to be fair, COVID probably did slow things down a lot in terms of production itself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's Lazarus. So I guess we'll then move on to Bleach. No, sorry, Dragon Ball Daima. We got Dragon Ball Daima. I did not forget it this time. Dragon Ball Daima episode 2. So everyone, or at least all the main characters, have been turned into kids, and a few, and the already really young ones have just become babies. So they basically find out what's going on, and they decide, okay, well, we better go to the demon realm, or so that we can try to deal with all of this, because that's where the bad guys went back to. And so then basically the whole thing is, from what I remember, them trying to get used to their younger bodies, going fixing the things so they can go there. And then there's another one that will bring some of the other characters. So for now, it's just Goku, Vegeta, and the Supreme Kai guy. And then the other characters are just going to be like, yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait until this thing gets fixed, and then we'll follow you. So, yeah, that's basically the stuff we got there.
Yeah. It seemed like most of this episode just consisted of everyone realizing that they had been reduced in age, and it just took the whole episode just for people to find out, okay, something happened to us, and so didn't really feel like much progress was made, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make it if we have to have Goku train to get all the way back up to where he was before. I just have the feeling that's going to be a very long and drawn out process. So I hope it doesn't take as long for them to get powerful again, but we'll see.
I don't think I did not get the impression they're going to be doing training because they decided to go to that other a place right away, that alternate world, not to do a bunch of training first. The training just seemed, like all they just said was, okay, we just need to get used to flying again in these new bodies. Especially because part of the point was, of course, just to depower the characters so that you're not wondering, hey, so shouldn't they just be able to beat these guys right away?
Yeah.
Also, one thing I wanted to talk about, because you asked me and I looked it up and this was just interesting. So in case anyone's wondering, yeah, pretty much all these characters, their younger selves are being voiced by different people than their regular ones, except for Goku, who is being voiced even as a kid by his original voice actor or voice actress, because it's actually a woman who does Goku's voice in the Japanese, which is why if you've ever watched the sub or whatever Dragon Ball, Goku sounds totally different in Japanese.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those cases where she started doing it, voicing him, because at the start of Dragon Ball, he's a kid. So of course you're like, okay, well, let's have as is usually the case with kids in anime, you just you give the voice actor to a woman so that you don't have the problem of the kid because you do that instead of a boy, because the boys grow up and their voices get deep, and it's why Al's original voice actor in Full Metal Alchemist can't do the voice anymore.
Yeah.
For example. So yeah, so that's why. So she had that, and then I guess just stayed there even as Goku grew up. It's the same thing with Naruto, actually both in Japanese and English, where, Naruto's an adult in Boruto. He's still got the same pretty high-pitched voice because they kept the same voice actress.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just mentioned that because I did want to note interestingly. So Goku's voice actress in Japanese, Masako Nozawa, she's been basically doing Goku's voice since when did the original Dragon Ball premiere? I should have looked this up. Yeah, since 1986. So basically almost 40 years at this point.
Oh my.
Oh,
wow.
And she's pretty old. She is 89 now, and she's still doing the voice for Goku.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All that said, I still like his more masculine English voice. But maybe that's just because that's the one I'm used to. So anyway, so there's a bunch of trivia that well, they'll probably never ask you this on a game show, so I can't say maybe it'll make you a millionaire one day, as with some trivia. Okay. Yeah, I thought this was on the whole, it was a decent episode. Nothing amazing, but pretty decent. I enjoyed it, at least. We'll see how things go. All right, so after that, we move on to Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War, episode 6.
Yeah, so Ichigo is somewhere off screen and we don't know a thing about him. So it's up to old man Yamamoto to save the Soul Society. He shows up, he pulls out his Bankai, goes all out, and uses it, then kind of showboats because he thinks he's won, and it's like, oh no, you just killed a imposter, and the real Yuwabara, or whatever his name is, he wasn't affected at all, and now he's going to steal your Bankai and kill you, and that's what happened. And this very lousy way of killing off Yamamoto, and that's what we got.
Yep. Yeah, that was basically it. There was, we got to see Yamamoto's Bankai, and I guess it did establish that, yeah, he was crazy strong. It's just, he just fights a fake. So I guess he won, and yet he's still kind of jobbed. Because
he was just stupid. Like, that's like a hallmark of his character, is that every decision he ever makes is the wrong one. Like, I'm going, I'm going back in these older things, even if it's filler, even in the filler, Yamamoto would make the wrong decision, and I think that caught up to him here, and maybe that was a maybe not as lousy of a way of killing him off as I thought, because maybe they were just trying to establish that the guy is super powerful, but he has a hard time when it comes to doing things the smart way, and that's what got him killed. I don't know.
I can't remember if he said it in this episode or if it was a later one, because I know I saw it at some point, and I did watch these a while ago. I know there's a part where Yuhabaha says something about Yamamoto. He says, well, he was an idiot. That's why we didn't consider him one of the I can't remember the exact one he used, like prime threats or something. He said there were 5 of them, and that we later find out what are they, like Kenpachi, Mayuri, Ichigo. I can't remember the other 2. But the point is, Yuaba literally says, yeah, he was just kind of dumb. That's why we didn't actually consider him one of the biggest threats to us. So we do have Urahara was one. Well, who was the 5th? Hang on, I'm okay. Now I gotta look this up to find this like minor thing. Let's see. What was even the term they used? I don't know exactly. I'll have to look up later. The point is, I know he says, and maybe it's not this episode, maybe it's the next one. That. So I kind of at least feel like the author knew, yeah, he's not really that smart of a guy.
Yeah.
I guess he was actually correct. I know there was one point in which I think he was correct, and that was, well, sort of. It's where he tells Ichigo, yeah, you shouldn't go to Hueco Mundo, it's all a trick. And then, yeah, it was all a trick. So, but then I guess he does help Ichigo and his friends by sending some guys to help them anyway. But so I guess he was kind of right there. It was a little weird. But yeah, so we get his Bankai revealed, so we at least know that. At some point it almost felt like this arc was, yeah, we gotta try to reveal what everyone's Bankai is.
Yeah, the trouble with Yamamoto is that we never actually get to see him use his Bankai to win a battle. So it makes it seem like it's not all that great, because he used it and he sort of won, but he lost. So now in the viewer's mind, meaning me, I feel like, well, what's the point of his Bankai? Because he didn't win anyway by pulling it out. So,
I do think I remember Aizen saying that he thought or at least worried that Yamamoto could beat him with his Bankai. That's why Aizen had, I can't remember his name, that one Hollow, the weird one that was like they basically engineered to turn off Yamamoto's Bankai. That was
Wonderweiss. Was that Wonderweiss?
Yeah. That was it. To turn that off. So it at least had set up that it was really strong. But yeah, it is. We finally get to see it, and he does beat the guy, but it wasn't even the real one. So it was just a Doombot. It was just a Bowser in the first 7 worlds of the original Super Mario Bros.
You remember the lost levels of Mario where you got to the final castle and there was a Bowser there, and then there was another Bowser afterwards, and so yeah, oh man, that was really difficult. That lost levels, we spent a lot of time with that back in the day, and I just remember you go into a room and you have Bowser, you run underneath him, and you'd be like, okay, I finally beat the final boss, and then there's another Bowser waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember that. A lot of that, the the Lost Levels or the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2 is kind of a blur. I didn't even like play that in Super Mario All-Stars. It was because they had Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, which was sort of this Game Boy Color port of the original game, and that was like one of the hidden modes in it. You could play through that. The Lost Levels, well, that one called it Super Mario Bros. For super players.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mostly remember, what was it? There was this one jump. I think it was in the 8th world. I think it was the first one. It came right after. There's this part where there's this really long line of question mark blocks, just like a zillion of them in a row. And then at the end, you had to do this jump where you had to jump and then you would like land on some of the flying Koopas, and then you would jump off of that and make it to the other end. And I had so much trouble as a kid making that jump right. I can't remember if I don't know, maybe I was just doing it wrong, and if I were to do it now I could, but I just like had so much trouble after that like so much of the rest of it is just a total blur to me.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, most of that was a kind of a blur to me. The Lost Levels, that was a hard game.
Yeah, you should see the levels people create today on Super Mario Maker. They're unbelievable.
I have seen some of them, or rather more accurately, I've seen people do them on YouTube. Yeah, some of those things are just so crazy. I'm just like, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. All right, so that's it for our Super Mario Bros. Discussion. We got Blue Exorcist, episode 31. So we basically get a flashback. So, okay, I cannot remember anyone's name. So but the priest guy who died in like the second episode who raised Rin and Yukio. So we get a flashback about him. So what happens is he meets Ryuji's father, and basically they meet him, and he was saying, hey, I wanted to get the sword because I need to kill a boy, and the guy's like, no, I'm not going to let you give you the sword if he's going to kill someone. But then but the good news is that he does manage to basically the end, but they don't like each other, but they find out, oh yeah, he's actually a good guy, so they leave as friends, and that's all great and stuff. We get that. There is a and then let me see if I remember there. Right, we get some of the oh dang, and now I'm trying to remember what happened at the other part. I got the flashback, but then we came back and everything is such a blur to me. Right, okay, now I remember. So the bad guy, he manages to get all we get that flashback, so we understand the backstory and things, but then the bad guy's like, haha, I have managed to get the two eyes together, and now the bad guy's all really strong and stuff. And then it's just, and the whole thing was I don't know. Here's the problem. A bunch of what happens here involves stuff about the inner workings of the new characters that were introduced in the previous episodes that I can't actually remember anything about because it's all very confusing. The bad guy is like powerful now, and they have to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yeah. I don't really have much to add. It wasn't that great of an episode. But it's way too convoluted for me, and like I was enjoying it back whenever it was Rin trying to prove to his friends that he was trustworthy. Now it's just kind of like all this complicated stuff,
I think the problem is just the fact we've been thrown so abruptly into these new set of characters, and everything is suddenly all about them. It's just kind of weird that way. Now, I don't know, maybe this would have felt better if we hadn't gone through 8 episodes of filler, and then it's just like, just forget all of that stuff. So, and maybe this would have worked better then, but it still does just feel a bit distinct to me and different. So yeah, we'll see. That's why I'm having so much trouble trying to explain stuff. Because I got the backstory stuff. Then we're back in the present. I'm like, wait, how did all this fit together?
Mhm.
The flashback I remembered better than the present episode, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time. Okay, so then we got episode 734 of One Piece. Okay. All right. Okay. Remember our last episode? I kind of thought Doflamingo was beaten, but I wasn't sure. Well, Doflamingo is beaten. We spent an episode basically confirming that. All right. And that's the episode. We got, yes, it was clear. Doflamingo was in fact beaten.
Yeah, and we hear the announcer guy about 10 times say, "The winner is, the winner is, the winner is," and then he finally says Lucy, and everyone celebrates. And I was just wondering from you if you knew if him saying the winner is happened 10 times in the manga.
Dang, I looked at it before. Let me double check on that. Let's see, what was the chapter that we need? All right, this was episode 734. So all right, I'm just looking right now at the One Piece Weekly episode 734. Click under statistics. Okay, that was chapter 791. All right, go to
It actually did a whole
Jump.
chapter in this episode.
Yeah, they did. So that's actually at this point in One Piece, actually a kind of faster pace. It's funny, and then you look at like Kowloon generic romance, and it's just like blasting through like something like eight chapters per episode, from what I hear. Okay, let's see. Does he say? Am I on the right chapter? Let's see.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, he does actually try to say the winner is several times in this, but each time he like starts saying it, but because he's crying, it's hard to make out what it is, so he doesn't. So he stops. So he just has to keep stopping, like he's like going like, and the winner, well, whipper ibi, gawinga is the whipper. I'm reading what he's saying here, and he's going, where, whoopa, and everyone's just like, knock it off and say it. So then he does. So yeah, that was done. The thing is, though, in the manga, it works better as a joke because you're not waiting as long through it.
Yeah,
is the issue. And of course, the anime also, some of the flashbacks they put in here, they showed were from the manga. And some they just like threw in that were not in this manga chapter. So yeah.
Were they filler or were they canon?
All of the flashbacks we saw were canon. It's just we didn't go through all those flashbacks in the manga. It just had a few in the anime to pad out time putting more. So yeah, so that's that One Piece episode. Yeah, we got a full chapter out of it. Now I'm kind of curious, how is the next episode going to be for that? Let's see. All right. The problem is it says it'll tell me the chapter and the episode. Sorry, the chapter and the pages of them. That's one nice thing about One Piece being very popular. They are very specific on the wiki as to what was adapted. But how many chapter pages was this one? Yeah, it looks like the next episode is going to be a full chapter also, although it's also, this one was a 17-page chapter. The next one will be a 15-page chapter. Normally, weekly series, at least in Weekly Shonen Jump, are 19 pages each. But One Piece, at around this time, I think sometimes the chapters were shorter. I think the author was having like more trouble keeping up with the weekly schedule, so he kind of has some chapters be shorter. So yeah, but it is still one chapter. So yeah, yay! in any other series, in almost any other series, this would be considered a really slow pace, but one chapter per episode is actually a little ahead of the curve for One Piece nowadays.
Mhm.
Oh boy. But basically that's it. That's the whole episode. Yes, Doflamingo is defeated.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, that's our Toonami series. So we'll move on to Yu Yu Hakusho, episode 60. All right. So Kuwabara manages to figure out how to beat the elder Toguro brother, because while that brother, he's saying, aha, I can always move around my vital organs, and so that you can strike me anywhere and it won't kill me. And Kuwabara thinks, well, okay, what if I just make my sword like almost like a fly swatter and just hit all of your body at once? And then he does, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
So that fight is over. We do find then Sakio, the leader of the other team, decides, well, I'm just says, yeah, we all know that like the big climax is going to be Yusuke versus Toguro. So how about we just make the winning thing be depending completely on that? And everyone's like, okay, why not? Yeah. So we do get that. Oh yeah, we do find out that the older Toguro guy actually wasn't killed. He was able to turn himself into liquid and get into the ring. And he's like, yes, brother, let's fight. And then he says some kind of disparaging things about Genkai and Toguro. When I say Toguro, I always mean younger. It's like, and just punches him away because he doesn't want to deal with him. Yeah, we get that. And then we're gonna have the fight between Yusuke and Toguro finally. Yeah, that's it. I have to say, when you look at what we've been seeing in One Piece, Yu Yu Hakusho is just so fast and efficient with their fights. You like the previous one, that was 2 episodes, and then we're done. So yeah, I'm kind of appreciative of having these faster fights rather than 20 episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that when Sakio's giving his backstory, I appreciate he just explains it, and we have a few shots of it. He just spends a minute or two on it, and then we move on. So many other series, looking at you, One Piece, would feel the need to devote a whole episode or multiple episodes just to showing every single part of his backstory. Whereas here's just okay, here's my backstory. Okay, you got it. Let's move on. This is exactly what I've been saying I wanted them to be doing in One Piece. We didn't need to spend an episode and a half on Senior Pink's backstory. You could have just said it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. The whole thing about this was the episode. Was it this episode or last episode where Kuwabara found out that Genkai had died? That was the last episode, right?
Yeah, he found out the previous episode.
Yeah. I just thought that was a good moment whenever he punched Yusuke. That was a good moment.
Yeah, for not telling him. And then the others say, yeah, well, Yusuke didn't tell anyone. We just figured it out. So actually, I'm a little surprised there wasn't a moment where someone says, yeah, Kuwabara, you're just dumb that you couldn't figure it out. Everyone else did. Yeah.
Speaking of which, it has been this month marked the 15th anniversary of Kuwabara saving everybody at Tornadocon or Colossal Con. Back in 2010, believe it or not, we had a tornado warning at the hotel of Colossal Con, which is also a water park. So this guy cosplaying as Kuwabara was going from door to door, getting people out of their rooms and having them evacuate to the basement, which wasn't really a good idea because, I mean, that's what the Kalahari staff, the hotel staff, told him to do. But since all the pipes to all the water of the water park were down there, then it meant that if something had hit that hotel, that we would have all been drowned in water like really quickly. But yeah, we were all sitting in the basement of this hotel / water park, and Kurabara, the cosplayer, was going door to door, getting people out and getting people down there. And it became a legend. And I'm not sure if any of those people still go to cons now. It's 15 years later, but that was just one of those moments that you'll never forget.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the other series. So we've got To Be Hero X episode 4. All right, so nice, or well, technically he's no longer nice after this episode. So Ling, he's after Moon has been captured by the bad guy, he wants to go, but gets told, well, you shouldn't, because it seems a trap, and because remember, everyone thinks Moon is dead, and but so, and of course, then he actually has trouble even doing it because of the whole, hey, your powers and abilities and stuff are dependent on what your fans think about you. And since they all don't want him to go because they think it's a trick, he's not able to, but he managed to, I guess, force it through it, and then fights the guy, admits that he's not real nice, but in doing all of it, I guess he impresses everyone. So he basically gets a different set of superpowers and manages to win. Then it turns out that it wasn't Moon who was captured at all. It was just a fake anyway. But good news for Ling. He's now got a new superhero identity and doesn't have to pretend anymore. He's just called the Commoner. Which, I mean, hey, you get to be a superhero of being yourself. That seems better than a lot of the stuff. Anyway, remember how Moon went off to that island? Well, it turns out she forgot to bring her teleporter thing away with her, so she's just been kind of stuck there. And Ling does show up there. It's like, yeah, you forgot it. And everything seems great, and then a bad guy just shows up and shoots her and apparently kills her, which makes this the third episode in these initial 4 that end with her apparently being killed or kidnapped. Yeah, first episode, it ends with the cliffhanger that it looks like she died, but that was a dream. Third episode, looks like she was captured. No, wait, it wasn't her. This one, well, it looks like she died for real this time, maybe, but until we get the confirmation on it, I don't know if that's the actual case or not. Yeah, I thought it was pretty. I thought it was a fun episode, even if we kind of the sudden cliffhanger annoyed me a bit. I don't know which way it'll go, but I was just like, oh, okay, seems like we had a decent end to the story, kind of, because I know the series switches between a bunch of different heroes and kind of shows them their own stories for several episodes in this series. But this is like, okay, cliffhanger.
Yeah, the cliffhanger seems kind of forced, like they wanted a cliffhanger so bad that they just came up with one. And I hate whenever shows just do that to just like tease the viewer. It's like, okay, well, you never know what's real or what's not, but after a while then it gets you to stop caring as much. So yeah.
My brother has seen a bit more of this show than me, and he said that, yeah, there's a whole lot of episodes that end with a character dying or appearing to die.
Okay, so it's gonna do this a lot. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, he's only I think seen 7 or 8 episodes total, but he does say that is a thing that seems to happen a bunch in the series. Yeah, and I don't know when we will get resolution on this, because I know the next episode starts focusing on a different character. So, but I assume we'll get back to this at some point. So I think the one who actually shot her. So, there's still some relevance there, but okay. Anyway, I guess we'll deal that when we get there. But for now, I thought this was a decent episode, a decent kind of conclusion outside of that just kind of out of nowhere sudden cliffhanger thing. That was the one issue I think I had with it that kind of brought it down for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so then we got Anne Shirley episode 4. So this episode is called One Can't Stay Sad Very Long in Such an Interesting World. But an alternate title is This Book Was Written Over a Century Ago. This episode is legitimately not Yuri baiting you, okay? Okay. Yeah, because throughout basically Anne and Diana are hanging out a bunch, except then due to a mix-up, Anne accidentally gives her a bunch of wine to drink because she thought it was something else. So then Diana gets drunk and her mother gets annoyed about it and tells Anne they can't be together anymore, hang out. The two do, in reference to that joke I made before, repeatedly tell each other they will always love the other. And like I said, 1906 book, okay? That is, anyway, the good news is that Anne does end up saving the life of one of Anne's siblings, which I guess solves everything, and her mother's okay with her now. And, yep, that was our episode. So, were you going to say something, or did you want me to say more?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought the episode was decent. Not as good as the previous one, but on the whole I got into it and I'm interested in seeing more. And I just want to make it clear that stuff that's like not something the anime came up with. I looked at the part in the book. I want to read this bit of this thing straight from the book. I love you devotedly, Anne, said Diana staunchly, and I always will. You may be sure of that. And I will always love thee, Diana, said Anne, solemnly extending her hand. That was right from the book, okay?
Yeah,
right,
that was a little too much. Going not the Yuri baiting thing that you said, but just the whole thing that she was like that attached to Diana when it's like, really? Like in that little bit of time, you become that attached to her? And, she's acting like this is the worst thing in the world. And, yeah. But I did find it pretty funny, the incident where she gave her wine instead of the thing that she was supposed to. That was pretty humorous. I also kind of liked the story where she knew what to do to help that baby, although it didn't seem like she really did all that much. So that's probably a weakness of the original story, though. Yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I know there's times in this episode, in this show, the series itself, that I'm like, okay, can we get on with it? But overall, it tells a pretty good story. So, I think all the weaknesses it has are just the weaknesses of a 100-year-old story or however old it is, so.
Yeah, it was, was it 1906 or 1900? It was 1908. So, yeah, I know. I just had to make all those jokes because I had seen people reference them. So, yeah, like I said, old time, people talk differently. So, but yeah, setting those jokes aside, I'm trying to remember I'm not sure 100% sure what the timeline is. How long has she been there? I know it has not been a year because we're still in like the same school year. And by the way, it did establish, which was interesting, that Anne actually is pretty smart in school, it seems, because it mentioned that it was constantly either her or Gilbert who got the highest scores. So yeah, that. I don't know exactly how long she's been here. It's been at least a little bit, but I don't know exactly what the timeline is. Although if you were thinking things need to get on with it, oh man, you do not want to watch the original series. It is much more slow paced. The original anime, I mean.
Yeah, what gets me is some of the dialogue where she'll repeat things over and over again, and yeah, that can.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Yeah. Anne is definitely very much a drama queen, though, and that's kind of what's so entertaining about her. Where she's like starts getting upset about how the fact that she'll be separated from Diana because of Diana's future husband.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I'm like,
it is ridiculous.
You two are 12 years old at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Although it is interesting to know. Do you mind if I say something that is kind of a spoiler? It's something that I know about that takes place. It's not even in the anime. This is something that will take place after the books the anime covers.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, just in case you're wondering, yes. And in a later book, she does totally name one of her kids Diana. So there you go. Okay. So there you go with that. All right. Yep, that's that for that. All right, Kowloon Generic Romance episode 4.
Okay, so we had this dream happen where Kudo was in a dream, and then he had been basically in like the original Kowloon. I'm not sure if I'm getting that right. But basically, yeah, I think this episode starts with another dream. And then it's like, we finally get like an in-universe answer to why she doesn't just ask Kudo all these questions. And it's like, she doesn't want to because she's afraid that's going to end up killing off Kujirai B, and she doesn't want to do that. So they have like a celebration party or something, and that they have some stuff together, and then at the end of the episode, that snake guy, he's plotting with that other guy about let me see what's his name again.
Which character?
The snake guy.
The guy with the weird tongue.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look and see if I can find it. Miyuki Hebinuma.
Okay. Yeah, so he shows up, and then at the very end of the episode, Reiko is talking with Kudo, and he's like, "Yeah, I killed you, or killed her. Not you, but killed Kujirai B." So that's the big surprise at the end of the episode, and that's it.
Oh wait, hang on a minute. I need to let me check something because I think I might have goofed up. Oh, I I just realized that I watched both episodes 4 and 5. I watched the 4th one soon after I think we did the podcast, and then I forgot that I watched it, and then I watched the 5th one. So so I was thinking, okay, because you were talking about the beginning. I was thinking, wait, wasn't the beginning, right after that part, and I was thinking of what happened at the start of the 5th episode. Well, unfortunately, now my memories are all conglomerated because I can't remember exactly what happened in the episode we did watch. I did watch it. I just can't remember exactly what it was in regards to that. It's just unfortunately the 5th one is the one that I saw more recently, which you didn't see. Wow, I can't believe I did that. Why didn't I just see it was episode 5 when everything else was episode 4? Wow. So unfortunately, I'm because I my memories of episode 4 have been overwritten by episode 5. I have trouble saying anything too specific about it.
Yeah, please try not to spoil me because I'm really enjoying this. So I don't want to.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't, just in case I accidentally say something from the next episode. Okay. All right. So unfortunately, I don't have much to add to that because of my own things. I'll just have to next week either rewatch this or just try to remember this what happened here so I can bring it up. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on to, let me just double check on this one. Okay. Which watch episode 4? This time I know I did watch the right episode.
Okay, so we start off with a basic love triangle situation showing up, which I'm hoping it's not a love triangle, but it seems that way. So then we have an episode where part of the episode where there's like this pocky type of stuff that people eat, and whoever eats it after the one before them, like, kind of like falls in love with them or something. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. But
they said that basically it's not quite love, it just makes you want to become their best friend, essentially.
Yeah, so all kinds of stuff goes on with that, but I don't think they did that one right. I felt like it could have been a lot funnier, and they didn't really. I felt like that had a lot of potential, and it just kind of had a silly ending to it. So, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that one. And then the third one at the end is another warning about Nico that Mori has to protect her from. So that's the third part of the episode. And overall, I was left wanting more from this episode. I felt like this was the weakest one yet. I felt that the first 3 were really good, but this one wasn't as good.
There was one joke I thought was pretty funny, although it is kind of unfortunately lost in translation because, well, it's not that it's lost in translation, it's because of the way things are translated that it's lost in translation. It's the fact where the new character, what was his name again? Yeah, Kanshi, where he's complaining about how he's saying like Tengu never get attention in things. He said there's a demon slayer, but no Tengu slayer. And the whole part of he keeps talking about his father keeps reading Demon Slayer, and there's that was kind of funny. But the joke here is supposed to be the demons in Demon Slayer, they're called Oni. And that's also what Moi is, Oni, except they translated that as ogre here and demon over in Demon Slayer, even though it's the same word, which I've complained about before. Just say Oni. Don't translate it. There is no perfect translation. Just say Oni so that all the stuff is so that people can recognize that. But I guess we're just kind of past that point. But anyway, I thought that whole sequence was really funny and kind of a joke on the different ways you can take the same sort of magical creature and portray them very differently. Yeah, some of that bit was kind of funny. Yeah, the first 2/3 were mostly shenanigans, and then things were more serious in that because of the the outfit that like grabbed her and was trying to take her away, and they worked together to it. And yeah, one thing though I did notice, I kind of feel when you get down to it, Nico's spells seem kind of overpowered. Like she could do these
Yeah.
crazy things that there seems to be no defense against. Like she cast it on something and people eat, and then suddenly they're mind controlled. And thinking that seems a very powerful effect. Is there any defense against this? So yeah, if this was like an RPG, you would like have to nerf that a bit, I think. Okay. And well, yeah, one of the issues with Witch Watch is that it has sometimes a problem with Kaguya-sama, where you're like, okay, we had 3 different plots, but there wasn't necessarily that much to say about them beyond what we already said anyway. Okay. Okay, and that's it for Witch Watch then. All right, so I guess we can say our favorites of series then of the Toonami and non-Toonami.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is Bleach for Toonami and Kowloon for non-Toonami. And my best girl of the week, well, we're running out of girls to choose from, but Anne was still on the board, so I picked her.
Okay. My favorites were, I think, actually it's a hard one for Toonami. I'm trying to think. You know what? Yeah, let's pick Bleach. For the non-Toonami, I'll pick Anne Shirley. I realize, especially because I realized looking back, wait, I should have picked that last week. Why did I choose I picked To Be Hero X, but I was thinking, well, that was my overall favorite of the series. But the Anne Shirley episode last week was better than that. So I will definitely give it this week because I did like it, and also as recompense for not doing it that time. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, yep, and that's it. We've advanced one episode more in all of these. Yeah, I am kind of curious about what ends up happening at the end of Kowloon Generic Romance, because the anime is like finishing, but the manga is still ongoing. So I've been trying, not to look too hard at what people are saying to avoid spoilers, but I'm just wondering, is this going to be something where the author just said, yeah, this is what's going to happen, just like, I don't know, stuff it into 2 episodes? Or are they just going to make up their own ending, or what? I guess we'll see. That is something that gives me a little bit of concern, that that because of the fact the series is still going on, even if it is apparently the manga I've heard is like in its final arc, but who knows how much time there is left. So we'll see. We won't get there for about 7 or 8 more episodes, but yeah. This one hasn't finished yet, so I don't know what people are saying about the ending. Anyway, we are at the point where series are finishing their seasons now. It is sometimes kind of interesting to see, the swings you'll see on stuff on my anime list when a season is over, and everyone decides, well, now I've seen the whole thing, I'm going to give it a rating, and you can see stuff like pick some big swings up or some big swings down as a result in their scores.
Yeah.
For example, I saw one anime I think maybe I'll check out because I heard some positive things about it. We didn't check it out for this season because there wasn't any dub, but yeah, Apocalypse Hotel, a lot of people were saying was pretty decent and apparently had a decent ending, which made, for example, before its final episode, it was at 7.64. Now it's just jumped up to 8.01. So, like I said, you can see some big jumps up or down when something concludes. That's just my own rambling, but I did think it was kind of it's the sort of thing that's interesting. Well, anything you want to ramble on about?
Yeah. I watched the next episode of My Hero Academia. I guess I'm kind of kind of pick this thing up. So basically, they introduce a new villain. Something about, I forget what his name was. He's really fast, and so he and the main character kind of get to know each other, and then Knuckle Duster helps clean up a mess that the Turbo guy had gotten into, and they kind of work together to solve that problem. But meanwhile, there's some other villains with some quirks that could be a real problem. So the main character is, whose name is his name Kojiro? Is that his name?
I can't actually remember. The only one I can remember, like Knuckle Duster and wait, actually, was her? I can't remember. Was it Pop Step or Hot Step?
Pop Step.
Pop Step. Okay, that's what I thought it was. Main character, Koichi Himawari, but what was his hero name again? I remember they made a point.
The Crawler.
Okay. I remember they made a point about people not remembering it, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, so basically he's still training and stuff under Knuckle Duster because he's pretty weak and pretty useless, though I have to say, like, Pop Step might have an even more useless quirk. Like, if you're being a vigilante, this isn't a thing for people who can just, like, jump out of trouble. Like, you need to be someone who can fight, and C really doesn't have any skills to fight with. So I'm not really sure why she's being a vigilante and just deciding to use her quirk for doing concerts, you know? So I think she's got a pretty useless quirk. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was probably my second favorite thing I saw this week behind Kowloon Romance. So I guess I picked it up. I guess I'm watching it now. So it really didn't get dropped. So I'm kind of watching 5 shows now. So.
Okay. Well, maybe if you're sticking with it, maybe I'll catch up on it then. We'll see if I can. I'll look into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cough. Okay. All right. Anything else? Or is that it?
That's about it. That's about it.
All right. Well, with all that said, I guess we're done then with this episode. So we'll see you. Oh, actually, one thing I did want to mention, because I was curious about how it concluded. So I looked. This was like not one of our top series or anything, but I looked into it because I was kind of curious. In Once Upon a Witch's Death, where she has to get all like the tears and stuff to survive. And if you're wondering, oh, does she? Well, you don't know, because apparently the season ends without her having actually finished it yet.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You want to see more? I guess you got to check out the source material. Although the light novels aren't completely in English anyway, and there's only one more book in there. So I don't know if that wraps things up or not. But yeah, that is one of those unfortunate cases where it just ends midway through, and you want more? Look at the source. Well, I mean, a lot of series end midway through, but that seemed especially a case where it was just a matter of, wow, okay. So just a warning to everyone, you are apparently not going to get the full story in the anime. You got to go to the source material. I know the first book of the light novel is out in English. I don't know when the others are. This is one reason why I've generally tried to avoid getting too much into an anime if it's based on something and the source material is not available to me in English. that's happened a few times where I really like this show and I'm like, oh, I want to see more. Oh no, the manga has no English translation. So we got that there. All right, and with that, well, I think we're done. We'll see you all next week for more discussions of all of these things. And yep, that's it. See ya.
Bye.
It's their destiny to race. Let's move some metal. And the fate of the world depends on their victory.
This time, there's no escape.
If they can put aside their egos and work together, they've already won. Nobody tells me what to do. Hot Wheels Acceleracers Breaking Point premieres Saturday, June 25th at 6:30.
We've got it under control.
Don't stop believing. Only Toonami. The destruction of Unicron has created a black hole, which threatens to swallow the planet. Let's go! Now, the Autobots' only hope is to find the ancient planet keys.
Prepare for battle!
But as usual, the Decepticons aren't playing along.
Beat it, Megatron! Oh, really?
Transformers Cybertron. New episodes, Saturdays at 7. Unlock the power.
Gotcha!